make sure you sign in at some point in the day, okay, or in the evening. Well, thank you for being here because it's kind of cold out there. It's a little cold. Did you have school today? How many of you have to go to school today? Or those of you who are working at school? No school today, right? Minneapolis have no school. St. Paul Public School has no school. Were there other places that had no school? Some of them started late, I think, right? Yeah, okay. All right, so I think because we are talking about the test, and while we have this one up, I'm going to show you the website just to make sure that you guys know where to find it. How many of you have been on the website for the NES? Good. So maybe you guys can, you know what, I never remember this, so I always do Google. Because, and so what I do is I do MTLE, and there you are, okay? Because MTLE is very specific to Minnesota, right? So it's the Minnesota Teacher Licensure Exams. And then when you go on there, there is a place that say, like, let me see, like what test you should do. What test should I take? This is the part that is what we're doing right now, okay? The Essential Academic Skills Test has math, reading, and writing. That's why you couldn't find the math, because you have to click there to go to the next level, all right? So when we say NES, NES is actually the brand. It's called, I can't remember, it's National Evaluation Systems or something. It's a brand. But the actual exam name is called Essential Academic Skills Test. So when you click on there, now before I go, if you notice all these tests, right? Basically, you have three kind of tests, and this shows that. One is the basic skills, or the essential academic skills. It used to be called basic skills, so we're going to call it essential skills. And if you think about it, what we are saying is that no matter what kind of teacher you are, you need to have some basic level of math, basic level of reading, and basic level of writing. Okay? That's going to apply to everybody. And then the pedagogy is like how you teach. Pedagogy means like what are the methods I use, right? What are the methods I use? And if you look at the pedagogy, it kind of depends. I'm a secondary math teacher. I'm not licensed to teach little kids that are, say, birth to grade 3. Because the methods are different. The kids are different. The way they grow up is different, right? What methods you use are different. So therefore, the pedagogy test is depending on the licensure you have. What level of licensure you have. And then when you think about content, like for me as a math licensed person, the content would be mathematics. As a person who is doing, say, social studies, that's your content, right? For elementary, understanding about elementary education, that's your content, right? So there's about the teaching, and then there's about learning about the theory, learning about kind of like what is all in elementary ed. What do we need to understand about young kids, right? What are the theory behind the young kids, and what are the case studies? And I think that's what Marie was talking about. Does that make sense? So there are three kind of exams, three kind, and depending on your licensure, each of the kind. Now we know that the essential has three of them, okay? Because there's math, there is reading, and there's writing. For pedagogy, you do one of them, okay? And then for content, there might be subtests. So you have to know what licensure you're at to know what content test that you take, okay? Does that now make sense a little bit? And that's the reason you don't see NES math on here. So you have to click on Minnesota NES Essential Academic Skills. Now, okay, it tells you that you have computer-based tests. There's a reading, there's a writing, and mathematics. And it tells you that there are 45 multiple choice questions. The writing has 36 with one written assignment. Okay? So these are the exams that you need to take for everybody, right? Everybody has to do this no matter what licensure you have. And the one that really is the hardest for people is usually the mathematics. Because many people either have forgotten or like we talked about the last time, we don't have a very good relationship with mathematics, all right? We get scared. Even before you start, you feel like, I can't remember the formula. And so that's why I'm trying to provide another way for you to think about the problems so that you can actually do them, okay? So that's what we're working on right now, the mathematics. And I think on the flyer, it shows that there are other prep courses or prep sessions for reading, I think, right? Reading and writing, or is that just reading? Could you look at that for me? Yeah, I think there are some that is coming up maybe later.
Yeah, intensive reading and intensive writing.
Okay, both of them, yeah.
April 1st and April 8th.
Okay, so know that those preparation is for the reading and the writing exam, okay? And they are intensive but a little bit shorter than the math. The math we have 5 sessions. This session like 3 hours, okay? Because we know the math is the one that probably has a lot more in there. There is algebra, there is geometry, there is statistics. There's many topics in that, okay? So does that help? Mm-hmm. So then now you can talk about, seat availability. You can talk about where to find a test center. So, and then how much it is, right? $50 for one EAS subtest. I just call it NES. Notice that you could do all 3 together. It's a little cheaper, but depending on the day, that's a hard thing. That's a lot to take. You're gonna get tired, and it's up to you, right? You save some money, but then you are like, oh my God, right? That's a lot of testing to do. That's a lot of testing to do, okay? So as I say, I don't remember this website. I just remember MTLE. That's the only thing I have to remember. And then I can Google that, and it's always the first one that comes up. Okay? All right? So I would suggest that you guys really know this website, and or you can write it down to mtle.nesinc. I mean, that's just too much to remember. I just Googled it, okay? But what I'm saying is that if you really think about it, you have 1 more week to sign up if you want to take the exam for math in the March, the first week of March. Because if you don't do it soon, you will not get the planning done right? They got to approve your extra time and all that. Like Marie talked about, it takes 3 weeks. So now is the time. You got to get it in. You got to get it in. Maybe you want to make sure you get a letter. For those of you who want to get a letter from Dr. Hartlab, get the letter first. Email him so that maybe next week he can have the letter for you, or he could maybe email me the letter so that you can then upload it, right? The letter, if it is electronic, you can literally, when you apply and register, you can upload that letter. So you don't have to scan it again, okay? And that's what I've done when I was here. I did a lot of letters that is electronic. Yeah?
I have a question. So I've played around with it before.
Yeah.
And when we go in, there's a part that says when you select after everything. So there's the reading, it shows the reading, writing, and math, but the top it shows MTLE, these weird numbers or letters.
Can you tell me where you're talking about?
Oh, okay, it's after I've already gone in.
Oh, see, I wouldn't know that. Okay, let me see.
It says choose which one you want. These 2. Do I need to click those, one of those? Because it says 15 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
I don't even know.
You do
the
the 3.
NES.
Yeah,
I know,
NES.
but do you need to do any of those 2?
No.
You just
No.
do the NES, academic skills, and mathematics.
Yeah.
Oh, right, I get that.
Right.
But what are the other 2 for?
You know what, those are the older versions, don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wonder, yeah.
Alright.
I know, isn't that confusing, right? It's very confusing.
Yeah.
Very confusing. I almost want to take a picture of that, because
Yeah.
I would like to understand
It's
that
like-
myself.
And then how do they expect people that English is a second language?
Exactly.
It's they make you go through all these hoops.
And it's hard enough for an adult to figure out how to get to
Yeah.
places. And I think that's why Dr. Hartlab has been so generous, that he will literally sit with you and help you register,
That's
okay?
cool.
So if you're having problem and you kind of go, I'm stuck, I don't know what I'm doing, right? Then you might want to, let me see if I can.
I mean, if not, I can screenshot it.
Yeah, you can screenshot it. Let me see if that works. I'm pretty sure that you just pick math if you want to do only one of them, okay? All right? So yeah, we'll continue to kind of explore the website, and then we can ask questions, you can ask questions about it. The only other thing I will show is maybe if you look at preparation materials, okay, look at that. Can you see on the corner, it says Minnesota NES EAS, which is what we are doing. If you click on it, right, It talks about some tutorials and all that. So that's not a bad thing to understand. So just so that you know, there are some resources here about how do you take an exam, and then it says what are the questions. So I like to go here and actually say, if I were to look at math, right, what are some of the sample items? I could actually look at the sample items. And if you look at the competency, this is what we are trying to cover. This is what this class is. We have 5 sections, partly understanding about number properties and number operations, which is kind of like pre-algebra, okay? And then we're going to understand principles of algebra, which we'll do a little bit today. And then we're going to understand about measurement and geometry, okay? And then we're going to understand a little bit about probability and statistics. And then overall, just understand how do you solve a problem when you don't really know what it is, and you just have to figure out how to break it down and solve the problem. So if you were to do this, there are actually some sample problems that you can come, oh, so that's what they're asking, all right? There are only like few of them. There's only like maybe 10 or 20 problems or something. The actual test is 45. And I have a practice test today that I'm trying to think whether I want to go to the practice test right away, or should we do some algebra and maybe answer some questions from last time. Because these competencies here is what we are doing for the 5 session, okay? Pre-algebra, algebra, geometry, statistics, probability, and then overall problem solving, okay? So we don't have a lot of time. And that's because we are assuming that this is what everybody have had some basics. Because if you went through college, you took some sort of algebra class, right? This is more like a refresher to kind of go, I know I did this, but I don't remember why, or I don't remember how, right? I know how to do this, I know how to memorize it. And I'm trying to provide you other ways of thinking about it so that you don't get so panicked that you sit there and you kind of go, oh my God, like I've never seen this before. So when we give you a packet, it's because there are a lot of problems there that you could actually do. Do you know who those 2 young kids are? Who?
My nephew.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right, that's okay. I was like, hi, you look a little young to become a teacher. Welcome. Yeah?
The lab
You,
is
huh?
The lab is closed, so
Oh, got it. So you may have to do some math problems today. What grade level are you?
7.
7, and how about you? 7, both of you are 7? You may actually know some of this. Yeah, you may actually know some of this. We'll see. Okay. So, who's new today from the last time? You are, okay. I think there's supposed to be somebody else who may or may not be coming. So I want to make sure that you get this packet from the last time. Oh, this just came off. Okay. The problem with this set of problems or set is that sometimes the answers are right the next page, which I wish they were all at the back. I wonder if I can fix that, because sometimes, like the one I'm going to give you that is about algebra, it's almost like, oh, 1 page is your problem, and then right next to it is the answer. I almost want the answers to be at the back, so I might have to think about whether I can rearrange that, because I personally don't like the answers are right next to it, because you want to try first, right, before you go to the back and check. So we'll see whether we can do that. Is there any burning problems from the last packet that somebody say, I really, really would like you to do this problem together so that we can work on it together? Any problems like that? Otherwise, we'll go on to algebra. Any problems from the last packet? Anything?
Oh, I can add. So there's like number 22 on the first page.
Number 22? And
Yeah.
let me find my
Just
packet.
trying to, like, I couldn't match up the numbers.
Yeah, you can get, yeah.
Yeah.
Page, what section? There's so many.
Oh, the first
The first
page.
page.
First page, number 22. Okay. Oh yeah, or second paper page.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
And that's the other thing, I realized these have no page,
Yeah.
numbers, so I'm like, what page are we talking about? Okay, who helped me to turn this off the last time? I realized I don't know how to turn it off.
Oh, you just mute it. PC mute.
PC mute, where is that?
It's a. Oh, here you go.
What question was that? Sorry.
Oh, number 22.
Oh, there you go, I did it. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on the last packet, but I do want to make sure that if there's something is like, I just want it done, I will definitely do that. So let's write that down. So this is number 22. Oh, there's a lot of brackets in here, isn't it?
Right.
So it's negative 1 3/4, and then plus negative 3 3/4. Okay, so I like to simplify things, like, sometimes in math, like somebody say it's a language. So you know how in English, and English is my second language too, that sometimes we say a lot of things and sometimes we add it out and we can say the same thing with fewer words, right? We have done that before. Like you look at a sentence and I go, wait, I don't need this word here. I can say the same thing with less words. So would somebody tell me maybe what can I take out to simplify this? Does this bracket tell me anything more or help me do anything at all?
You have to keep it together.
Yeah, but do I really need it?
No, you could do negative 7/4.
Can I just do this without the bracket
Yes.
on this one?
Yeah.
I could. I really don't need the bracket for this one
Right.
because this itself is holding it together. Okay? Now, for this one, we're going to be careful. There is a plus and a minus. So when it's a plus and minus, what can you do to remove the bracket? What does that mean?
Just minus.
Okay, so does everybody know? So if you have like that, right? That's equals to plus, right? Right? A negative of a negative is equals to plus. I could say, I always think of money when I think about negative numbers. So negative numbers is like owing money. I'm just in general, right? Negative, I'm owing something. So when I have a negative and a negative, you might think of it as I was owing something, but somebody else also owe me. So in a lot of ways, then it's like I kind of like reverse it. Okay, it's not the best example, but the idea is that a negative of a negative number is a positive number. Okay, what about a positive and a negative number?
Negative.
It's negative. Okay. Okay, and of course, positive to positive is still positive, right? Those are things that you do really have to memorize. So the more you do, you'll memorize it. Yeah.
So it works same thing where you are in multiplication, like doing multiplication?
Not quite.
Alright.
Not quite. Yeah.
That was
So
my confusion.
right.
I was
No,
working on it.
right. It's not the same. So we can maybe work on a problem very similar that has negative and positive in it.
Yeah.
just to make sure.
That was my confusion.
Okay. Okay. So so then this problem is really subtract 3 3/4, right? So basically, I have a negative 1 3/4, subtract 3 3/4. Now again, oftentimes if I give you another way of looking at the problem, you don't have to even change it into, what do you call that, mixed numbers or whatever. It's like saying I owe $1.75, right? 3/4 is 75 cents, and I owe another $3.75. So how much do I owe altogether?
550.
No, 4.
Think about 75 cents.
$1.50.
Well, I know I owe at least $4, right?
So 4 plus 4.
Right? So at least I know that I owe $4. But then when I have 75 cents plus 75 cents, what is that?
150.
$1.50. So how do I write that in a fraction?
5 2/4 or 5 1/2.
So it's so what is, so I'm gonna be very careful. I'm doing it in my head where I know that I owe $4, and I know that I owe $1.50. So in my head, I didn't have to do the mixed numbers. I literally just say, if this was money, I know I owe at least $4. And then the 3/4 plus 3/4, think about quarters. I have 3/4 and 3/4, if you add them all together, it's 6/4, which is $1.50, okay? So then I'm saying if I owe $4 and I also owe $1.50, how much do I owe altogether? $5.50. So my answer is actually 5.50. Do you see what I just did with that? Like, oh my God, I forgot how to turn it into a mixed number. I forgot how to, I just use logic. Use everyday logic, okay? When the fractions are so nice, where we know what that means, I don't try to change this into 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1, 2, 3 is 7. I don't do that, okay? But do you realize what you're doing when you do that, okay? Let's say that I didn't know how to do this part. I don't know that it was money because I forgot, I'm panicking. If I were to do the mixed number, what would I get?
Negative 7/4
Negative 7/4.
and negative 15/4.
4 times 3 plus 3, right? Everybody got that? 4 times 3 plus 3, so it's 15. What does that really mean in number? What are you saying here? What does that really mean? What did you just do when you say, I have $1.75, and now I have 7/4? What are you saying?
7/4.
Or 7/4?
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. What you have just done is to say, if I have $1 and then 3/4, I am making the $1 into 4 quarters. So then how many quarters do I have? 7. So this is not magic. When you do mixed numbers, it actually makes sense in real life. Do you understand? It actually makes sense. So when you have $1.75 and I'm changing it into a mixed number, the technical term into a mixed number, what I've just done is to say I have 7/4. I have 7/4. And then over here, I change it into all quarters. So I have $3, right? $3 is how many quarters? 12. That's where the 3 times 4 is, right? Again, thinking of money, 3 times 4 is not magic. It's that I just remember it because everybody tells me to do the mixed number. There is meaning here. 3 times 4 means that I have $3, and if I want to change it into quarters, I have 12. And then there is 3 more, so I have 15 quarters. So if I were to look at it as quarters, how many do I owe? Because it's negative, and negative means I add the 2 numbers, right? Because I'm owing 7 and then I'm owing 15. So I have to add the 2 and put a negative in the front. So 7 plus 15 is what? 22. So if you look at how many dollars are in 22 quarters, hopefully you come back to $5 and 2 quarters, which is half. Okay. I do this only because I want you to think about how sometimes you get stuck in a problem, and the minute you apply it to a real life problem, it makes sense. You do this all the time. You do this in real life all the time. You change, like, oh, I have $2 and $2.25, and we are all paying for our bill. And you know what? I'm gonna go break it up. I'm gonna break up my $2 into quarters, so that I can do laundry, right? That's what you do all the time. What you just did is mixed number. Okay? I have $1 bill and I have 3/4, and my machine requires that I need, 6 quarters. Well, I'm gonna have to break this up, right? I don't have enough. So therefore, I break this up into quarters. That's what math is. Math is actually a lot of time. Sometimes we think like, oh my God, we are scared because there's a formula, I forgot the formula. But it's really logic. It's totally logic. Okay? Okay, totally logic. So does that help? Does that help? Okay? All right. So this seems like a simple problem. There's a lot of stuff in there, right? Why you do the mixed number? Could I do it without the mixed number? Could I make this problem into something that I can think in real terms so that I don't have to remember the formula? I can think of it as money. Okay, I can think of it as money. When you think money, I think most of you actually deal with money all the time. You're dealing with money all the time. Okay, all the time. Can I erase that? Or you
So what
wanna?
happened to that plus sign? I see how the.
This one?
Yeah.
So when you have add a negative, it's like you are subtracting. Okay? So think about it. If I can say that, this is the way I say it, because plus is like an n. Okay? When you say plus, it's like an n. Okay? So in money term, what I'm saying is that I owe $1.75 to somebody, and I also owe $3.75 to somebody, right? So if I want to know how much do I owe altogether, I actually add the two numbers and I end up with a negative, right? So that's another way to think about it. That's the reason add and subtract give you subtract, because you're really owing two things that you're trying to add together. Just another way of writing it. Okay? There are many ways of writing it. In math, we call this multiple. This is actually very important when you'll be teaching math. Because this is saying that there is not one way to represent something, right? When I say 3, what is another way of representing 3? Think of it as a kid, all right? If I say this is the number 3, what is another way of representing 3? 2 plus 1. Okay? I might also say, well, I got a $2 bill, and then I'm going to add it to a $1 bill. I could say that, right? I could say I have 3 hearts, 3 of the same thing. I got 3, right? So there are many ways of representing something, okay? There's many ways. That's going to be a very important thing as a teacher that you teach, because a lot of you never thought that when you were learning math, because you have one way of doing something and one way of thinking about something, okay? Okay, so I'm going to suggest that if you still have issues with pre-algebra, let me know. But what I'm going to do is pass on the algebra one to you. So if somebody can help me, these are kind of thick, aren't they? These are kind of thick. And I'm going to do something different from the last time because your feedback told me that. So instead of saying, just go do it, let's kind of maybe for each section do one problem so that you can think about it and then you can go off and do the rest. Okay? Would that be helpful?
Yes.
Okay? Yes. Because you got the answers. It's just a matter of how did they get it? What are ways that I can do it? So that's what I'm going to do. Can I erase this? Okay, this does not erase very well. At all. Wow. Wow, this really is
It's going well.
erased well.
What's it about?
Funny, George.
Oh, actually, third.
Yes, right. I know, it's like.
I know. Did every one of you got an email from me? I just want to make sure. No?
Were you here last night?
Yes, I did. Yeah, you were.
Okay, I didn't check my email.
Oh, wow. So the issue was you have not checked your email. Okay. That's okay. Because I want to make sure that you get an email from me. And so if you are new, you will get, so I'll make sure that you're added to my list. Because I want to make sure with the weather and everything that you guys know how to find me. Okay? You guys know how to catch me. In case something go wrong, you say I'm stuck in somewhere that I know. Okay? I know about this. So I've been like looking at the phone to make sure nobody like texts me or something. Okay. As I say, I don't quite like how this is arranged because you turn to the first page and all the answers are on the other side. Right? Right, don't look at it. Don't look at it yet. Okay. So if you look at the first page, there is a title for it. Okay? Understanding Fundamental Principles of Algebra. So if you think about algebra, when you think of algebra, what do you think of?
X's and Y's.
X and Y's. What else?
Equation.
Huh?
Equation.
Equations. Yeah. Well, numbers, solutions. Okay. So I'm sure I'm not gonna probably get the definition like officially right, but I would like you to think about algebra as more about patterns and relationship between things. Okay? All right. So for example, I'll give you an example. If you study hard and you study this many hours, okay, it's likely that you will do well on the test. Okay? That's the relationship. You study hard, you get good grades. All right? What are other things that there is a relationship? Like if you do this, you get this. Give me another one.
You work hard, you earn money.
There you go, right? Or if you look at the cold, well, the colder it gets, the more it drops, the more clothes I'm wearing, okay? There's some relationship. That the temperature drop, something happens, right? If that something doesn't happen, guess what? You're gonna have consequences, right? If I wear the same thing, no matter what my temperature is, I'm gonna be in trouble, all right? So relationship between two things that are changing, all right? So algebra is really about relationship of two things changing, okay? Would you make sure maybe that, make sure you sign in. Make sure you sign in, and then maybe I'll put this at the back, so if you come in late, you can grab this packet that we just started, okay? So I want you to rethink about algebra. Because if you think about that, you do algebra all the time, right? You do algebra all the time. Because you're always thinking of, if I do this, what is going to happen? If I do this, what is going to happen? Right? That's algebra. What algebra does is to say, is there a pattern where if I were to do X, there is clearly a way that the Y is going to be predictable. Okay? Just like the cold, right? The more the temperature drops, I'm going to wear more clothes. But at some point, it is so cold, we don't want to go out. Okay? We just don't want to go out. Because no matter what I wear, I'm going to feel cold. That's where it breaks, right? So sometimes the two relationships are okay for a while until like, okay, that was enough. Okay? Then it doesn't work anymore. So what algebra does is to say, if I have an equation, what an equation is a pattern of a relationship between two things. Okay? If I do this, I get this. If I do this, I get this. All right? Some of it is straight line. Some of it is this way. Some of it looks like here. Like when you go up, it comes down. So the different relationship is what algebra is. That's the different way of thinking of it as equations and X and Y, you know, solving for X. For what? That's the reason you're doing it, okay? In businesses, when they talk about profit and loss, they use a lot of algebra, right? Because they have to say, how much do I have to raise the price where people still will buy? And then at some point, oh, I'm going to lose because people are not going to buy, right? You go up a certain point and you go, nope.